Welcome to Motherhood in ADHD. I'm your friend, Patricia Sen. My mission is to be a lighthouse for mothers with ADHD, helping you find your path to success by learning to appreciate your ADHD as an asset. I'm seeking to change the paradigm that ADHD means your life is doomed to be a hot mess. So I'm sharing strategies and encouraging you in your pursuit of happiness to love who you are every day of your ADHD life. Hey there, successful mama. It's your friend Patricia. Thanks for tuning in with me today as we work on our Wise Money Management for ADHD series. In order to have more money, you either have to make more money or spend less money. And culturally, here in the US, the focus is usually on making more money. And while I'm not saying you shouldn't push forward in your job, it's a lot harder to get more money than it is to spend less money. And I know you're thinking, Patricia, I call baloney. Let me explain. If you're pushing for a promotion at work or getting more money, that means that you're working more hours, you're taking on more projects, you're putting in all that effort, but it's more of like a long-term stance in trying to get a promotion. Like that's something that's going to happen, a few months down the road. I'm not saying that's not a good thing to push for better things. Go do that. But what I am saying is that that's something that's going to take a lot of time and effort and resources to get there. You can cut your expenses right now. You can make decisions this moment that are going to decrease the amount of money going out of your bank account. And so in terms of immediate gratification, changing your expenses is way more powerful. It's quicker. You can see those changes right away. Now, is that easy? No, because you're going to have to make sacrifices. You're going to have to figure out what's important, what's not, and then make some cuts. And it's going to be a little painful. But we're going to get there, mama. We're going to figure it out. We're going to work together. Let's get it done. First thing we need to do is set our mindset. I want you to tell yourself right now, I am good with money. If you don't believe it, tell yourself in the mirror, shout it out in your car, whatever you're doing right now, like say it with meaning. I am good with money. If you feel totally goofy, that's okay, but we're going to start to change our mindset so that we are good with money. So what does a good money management mindset look like? Ooh, that was alliteration. To me, it's a combination of awareness and decision making. Just those two things. So let's look at the ways that we're going to increase our awareness and then improve our decision making. So awareness is constant. We can't bury our heads in the sand and hope that money will be okay. Like this is something you have to work for. I know for some people, looking at money is really stressful and brings back a lot of bad memories, etc. If you need to work with a professional to work through that, like you need to do that because money permeates every aspect of our lives. I know we wish we could say that, money's not that important, happiness is, blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing. If you don't have any money, it's pretty hard to be happy. There's a minimum threshold that you need to function in your life and be okay. You want to get to the point where you have enough not to worry. But then once you get over that threshold, there's not a lot of happiness increase that happens in significantly more money. Because money can't buy your happiness. It can keep you out of that horrible stage and it can make you a lot more comfortable, but you can't buy happiness with money. We want to get to the point where we can be at that upper threshold where we have all of our needs covered. We're achieving what we want out of life. We're accomplishing our life's missions. We have money to spend on enjoying our time. We don't necessarily need all that extra stuff like lottery-sized winnings or billionaire-sized winnings to be happy. There's plenty of those people who are quite miserable, actually. But anyway, I digress. This means that you're going to have to get to know your money. At least once a week, you need to look at your bank accounts. Preferably, I'd like you to check in on it like every day, every other day to know all the time what's coming in, what do I have, what's going out. I'm not saying memorize these things, but I want you to know at any time, you should know about how much money you have and about what bills are getting paid, etc., how much breathing room you have, right? Our next item of awareness is you need to prioritize what you want to spend your money on. What's important to you? We talked last episode about having a vision, having goals. Where are you trying to go? Where's your roadmap, your budget? Where is it taking you? Knowing what your yes is makes it a lot easier to say no. So for example, if you need to tell your friend, hey, I can't go to dinner with you because I'm not eating out right now, tell them, I'm sorry I can't go out to dinner with you. We're saving for a down payment on a house. That way, your friend's not sad that you're just flaking out on them. They know that you're setting up priorities, but you're drawing your line in the sand of, I am spending money on this. I am not spending money on that. But then, also offer like, hey, why don't you come to my house? We'll make some pasta. Obviously, that'll save you a lot of money and just hang out. So you still get to hang out with your friend, but not spend the money of going out to eat. And a really hard example for me was back when I was saving for my first house down payment, I gave up my manicure and pedicure. And y'all, I love getting my nails done. It really makes me feel good. It makes me feel pulled together even when I'm sitting in gym clothes. If I have my nails done, I enjoy the experience of sitting quietly with no little people talking to me with the spa music. That's a wonderful experience for me. But when I was saving for my first house, is back when I was single, all my coworkers and I, we would go and do this like once a month. That was like our thing to hang out. And I gave that up in order to save for my house. And it was sad because I wanted to go out hang out with my friends. And so there were some times where I just went to the spa and sat next to them and still chatted and still hung out with them. But I knew that that's where my priorities stood, and none of them were upset at me. They kind of thought I was goofy to come along anyway and just sit and watch them get their nails done. But you know what? That was my priority. That was what was important to me. As you're prioritizing, be honest about what's important to you. If your goal is to have the world's greatest Star Wars memorabilia collection and everybody else thinks that's goofy, it doesn't matter. Like, that's what's important to you. That's what you're going to spend your money on. Put several $100s in your Star Wars collection memorabilia category of your budget, because that's what's important to you. And then on the flip side, let go of things that aren't important to you. If you don't care that everybody's wearing clothes from a certain store in your neighborhood, let it go. It's not important to you. It doesn't matter. If people want to make comments, again, go back to what I said earlier. Share your yes. And like you say, well, we're saving for our next house, so we're really being tight on our decision making so that we can get our down payment. Yeah, some people are going to be judgy about it. But most people are like, oh, well, I understand that. Like, people get when you have a goal that you're shooting for because they have goals too. So be public about it. I just feel like it's better to say, this is why I'm doing it. Even if they don't really care about the answer, they probably don't. But it makes me feel better of like saying, well, I'm not trying to not hang out with you. It's just that this is important to me and I'm focusing on that. And on that note, take the phrase, I can't afford it, out of your vocabulary. Like, people say that like the money is like ruling your life. You know what? You can afford whatever you want to afford. You're just going to have to make a lot of sacrifices to get there. So when you say I can't afford it, you're making it sound like the budget's the bad guy. And it's not. You made the budget. You made the roadmap of where you want to achieve your goals. So take that negative thinking out of your mind and proclaim your yes. And once you decide what your priorities are, then you can look at, well, what are the things that aren't my priority? How do I trim those back? If watching TV isn't really that important to me, can I just have a Netflix subscription and get rid of cable? Like, think about those things that just aren't as important. Like, I'm not saying that you don't like TV at all, but if it's on the like middle of the road importance level, maybe that's something you can cut back on. And if your goal is really far off, like example, like saving for a down payment for a house that's going to take you like couple years probably to get enough money to where you can buy your house, like, do your math so that you figure out how much you're saving per month and putting towards that to get there. So you kind of have a plan in place. You've got a sort of like a milestone of where you know you'll be able to start looking at houses, and then put a visual reminder of that somewhere. Like, whether you hang a photo of your dream house on your bathroom mirror, stick it in your wallet so that you see it when you buy stuff, like put it somewhere where you're going to look at it so that you remember, oh, right, this is why I'm making these hard decisions. This is why I'm sacrificing, because I want to be there. Now, the last part of prioritization is that you have to have a talk with your spouse. If you are in a committed relationship, there are two of you spending money and you guys have to be on the same page. Now, this does not mean that your priorities have to be exactly the same. For example, my husband loves to watch sports. I could care less. Like, I could totally do without cable TV. It really would not bother me. I'm sure I can find whatever couple of shows that I actually watch on the internet. But watching sports is really important to him. So we spend money on our cable bill, way more than I would if it was just me. But I except that that's one of his priorities. That's something he likes to do, is have the sports channels available. So we have to have the fancier package in order to do that. But that also means that I also get to spend money on things that he doesn't think are that important. Like, he kind of thinks all my mani-pedis are ridiculous. But we have that agreement together of how much I can spend on things that I think are important that he doesn't agree with, and vice versa. And you want to work that into your budget. You don't have to agree if your husband really wants that Star Wars memorabilia collection. Like, you don't have to agree that that's that important. But if it really makes him happy, he needs to have that happiness as well. So if you can afford to set that money aside, just make sure both partners have money to spend and that there is like a fairness or equality involved, that it's not just one person making all the decisions about the fun money. And I don't want to get too far on my soapbox here into like marriage issues. So what I'll say is that if this is something that you and your spouse do not agree on, I highly encourage you to talk to somebody about it. Find an objective third party that you can work through things with. There's plenty of mediation, Christian counseling, a good friend who's able to be objective and listen to both sides. Like, find a way to work through that, because money is one of the quickest killers of marriages if you're not on the same page. Put your marriage first and work that out. Now, when you guys create your budget together, this should be something that you do together. Now, if some person's really anti it, one person can make the budget and just get the other person's input as they go. If that works better for your relationship, of course, make it work for both of you. But make sure that you're discussing those initial priorities together and that you're discussing the subsequent changes together as well. Have like a regular date. Every 3 months we check in on our money together and discuss, like, is this working for us? Do we want to put more money towards this? Things have changed. What can we modify? Like, even if it's just a 10-minute conversation every couple of months, you still want to do that together. And then it does need to be treated as like a covenant promise between the two of you. If you guys have agreed that you're going to adhere to this budget and you're working towards that goal, which again, both people have to be on board with the goal in order to have both people working towards getting it there. You need to be honest with yourself. I've committed to making this work. I am making purchases so that they are in line with the roadmap and the budget that we have created as a couple. I'm being honest to my partner. I'm being respectful to my partner in the decisions that I'm making. I think that's one of the ways that money is a marriage killer, is when people aren't on the same page or they agree to do something and then somebody reneges. Like, it's a trust factor. Your trust has been broken. So you really need to have the mindset that we're working on this together. Buena suerte, mamas. Okay. All right, let's get into some more things that are a little more like tangible. When you're looking at prioritizing different things, you can make a now and later deal with yourself. If you can't decide, like you want your kid to be able to play soccer and baseball, and you can't decide, but you can only afford one, make a now and later deal. This semester, we're going to play soccer, and next semester we can play baseball, so that you feel better about delaying one, knowing that's coming and we're going to trade off or whatever. Last portion of prioritization that I have is making sure that the things that you're buying are things that you truly love, things that bring you joy. If you know me for like a hot minute, I love Marie Kondo and her whole magic of tidying business. But if you don't just absolutely adore something, don't buy it. You can appreciate something and say when you're in the store, like, wow, that's really pretty. Wow, that's a beautiful item. I really think that's useful. That doesn't mean you have to own it. Being able to separate that appreciation for what you love about it and do I really need it is a skill you have to develop. So be patient with yourself, but know, like, you can think something is really great and not own it yourself. Okay, now that we've talked about our awareness and our priorities, let's talk about our decision making. How do we make quality decisions on our money? First, I want you to call or research online all of your bills and renegotiate anything you can. Specifically, if you're at the end of a contract, you may have to find out like, oh, well, you know what, my TV contract goes another 3 months, so I get penalized if I renegotiate it now, so I'll wait. Or they might say, no, that's fine. If you renegotiate, you just extend your contract. That's fine too. But literally, call every single company that you buy stuff from on a regular basis and see if there's a way that you can lower your price. Whenever you hit the end of a contract period and it goes month to month, that's notoriously more expensive than having a contract. The reason they're giving you a better price is because you've signed a contract and said, I'm going to stick with you. That's why they give you the discount. But you definitely want to shop around, compare prices, find the best deal. Now, you can't do all of them at once. That's really overwhelming. But like just take maybe one a week and make those phone calls. I'll give you an example. For our cable, internet, phone, all that stuff, we have AT&T, and our contract ended last month. We were paying like $235, I think. And then immediately when it went to month, it jumped to $245. So my husband called, and you have to like do this theatrical thing where like, I'm thinking about canceling my account. Then they're like, oh no, please don't do that. Let's send you to the retention department. And they send you to the retention department, which their entire job is to keep you from closing your account. So they are authorized to give you the best deals possible. So then you talk to the retention department and they will sign you up for deals that like the regular salesperson can't give you because it's in the effort of keeping you from switching accounts. So we got a new contract and now we're paying $203. So just in making that phone call, we saved like $40 a month for the next year. Another way to drop your expenses pretty quickly is to trim your excess. Take a hard look at everything you're using and how can you use only what you need. Like this is very much like your Depression era grandma yelling at you here. Like what would she say about your wastefulness? Where can you cut back? Example, if you are grocery shopping and you buy things that you don't end up using and you throw away a lot of produce, how do you either... Now, here's the thing. We want to say, oh, well, I really should just eat more fruit, right? Well, you're not eating more fruit. So let's just accept that fact and cut back on the amount of fruit you're purchasing. And then when you go to your fridge and realize, oh, I wish I had some fruit because you ate it all, then you know next time I'm creating that habit of eating more fruit. So now I should buy more fruit. But in the meantime, just buy less fruit. Another area of excess is a lot of times electricity. When I'm home by myself, I like to have all the lights on, especially at night. I don't like walking around a dark house, especially, my husband travels a lot. And so I don't want to be in the house by myself when it's dark. I just feel better about it being light and bright. I don't know if I'm thinking like, oh, if there's an intruder, like I could see them coming. I don't know. But it makes me feel better, which that's fine. That's a priority for me. I want to feel safe and comfortable in my home. But I don't need to have all those lights on when I leave the house. So making that habit of turning off all the lights before I leave, that's a way I can trim excess. Now, this one's a doozy for us with ADHD is impulse buys. We are the queens of buying things we don't need on impulse. And so how do we avoid spending money on things that we don't really need? Well, one, I don't go in the store very often. That Target dollar spot at the beginning of the store is just like, I feel like built for ADHD moms. Are like, I'll have one of these, two of these. And all of a sudden you got like $20 worth of junk that you don't need and you didn't go in for. Some people are like, well, just stick to your list. I'm like, no, that doesn't work for me. I'm still going to wander through there and buy crap I don't need. So I do most of my shopping online. I do grocery ordering on the Walmart app, which is free when you buy over $30 of stuff. Highly recommend that. And so that's really easy for me to eliminate things that I don't need. When I go to the checkout, I look through and say, well, for one, I just don't add things in that I don't need. It's not like I walked by the candy bars and saw them. I'm searching for orange juice. Candy bars don't pop up. I don't have that impulse trigger, I guess you could say. But at the end, I look at my cart and it's like, okay, am I within my budget? Did I buy things that I'm actually going to use? Does this match my meal plan, for the week? And I can be like, you know what? I really don't need ice cream. Delete. And have that pause and make good decisions moment before I click checkout, purchase. Obviously, if you can try to avoid the websites that you tend to buy things in, that's a good way to have less impulse buys. But what I try to do is if I get this impulse to buy something, when I get to the checkout, I just stop there and I leave it in the cart and I come back to it. If I still want that thing tomorrow, I can buy it. Or if it's a lot of times we get, oh, it's on sale. I have to buy it right now before the sale ends in 4 hours. It's like, do I really need that thing? If it was full price, would I buy it? Well, no. Then do I really want the thing or am I just excited about the deal? So for me, leaving things in my cart and just coming back to them later, circle back is a great way to be like, no, I really don't need that. Also, anytime you buy something, you should be checking your budget to make sure it fits within the parameters of what you have for that month. And then also don't be afraid to return something that you shouldn't have bought. If you buy a bunch of that dollar spot stuff at Target and you get to your car and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have bought those. Put on your big girl pants, go back in the store, return the things at customer service right then. If you don't need it, give it back. Another thing I did for a long time is I had a Post-it note on my credit card and I wrote on it, do you really need this? And so when I would pull my card out, I'd be like, no, okay, I won't buy it. Then in terms of buying things that you already buy, do your comparison shopping. I do subscriptions on Amazon through Subscribe and Save, but when it comes to the date where mine ships on the 8th, I have a reminder on my calendar on the 6th. I go in and look at everything, and I walk around my house, and I have the routine of checking and being like, toilet paper, do we need more? Yes. Great. No, I don't. Delete. And then anything that I do need, I do a quick check and see like, what's the price at Costco? Okay, well, I should just go get toilet paper at Costco. It's much cheaper, because buying things in bulk isn't necessarily cheaper. I think a lot of times we get fooled by the like, but it's a package of 73. Look how many I'm getting for the price. But if you do the math of actually like dividing it out and being like, well, that always amazes me. Like the wipes I use for the boys when they, just one of the kids now is in diapers. The water wipes, if you buy one individual pack, sometimes it's cheaper to buy one by itself than to buy the 3-pack. So like it'd be cheaper for me to just buy 3 1-packs than to buy 1 3-pack. So you have to do a little math. Apologies if you're not a mathy person, but check your prices. And then see if there's anything that you do regularly but could somehow like share or split with a friend. Like if you really like having a Costco membership, can you split one with your sister so that you each have one card on the account? Like how can you still purchase the things you like but do it in a way that's more budget friendly? So you have to be a little creative. And I think having ADHD, like we're awesome at like creative solutions and thinking outside the box. So when you put your brain to that challenge of how can I still do this fun thing by some other means in order to save money, I think there's a good portion of us that will enjoy that challenge. And like you always, try to be on the hunt for a good freebie. Like one of my favorite things is at our local library, we have a program called Flipbooks. And if you return the survey in the Flipbook kit, it's a partnership with the Children's Museum, and you get a family 4-pass to the museum by filling out the survey and returning it. So it's like, that's a win-win for me. I got a fun activity to do with the kids, and then we get to go to the Children's Museum for free. It's amazing. In having the awareness of your money situation, that allows you to put your brain in the mindset of finding the most creative way to solve the problem and come up with that unusual solution to decrease your expenses. It is totally possible, and I hope, Mama, that you will find something here that helps you trim back. And I would love to see your post either on Facebook or Instagram and tell me the money that you've saved by using any of the tricks that we talked about today. So, Mama, get to it, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for listening, Successful Mama. Thank you for listening to Motherhood and ADHD. For more resources, head over to our website, www.motherhoodandadhd.com.